I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I was in an elevator the other day, and somebody farted and passed gas. And I wish they would have warned us, because I could have maybe held my breath a little bit. And I understand, as a physician, it's a human process. People do break wind. It happens. Sometimes they don't have control over it. But if you did have control over it, did you really have to do it in an elevator? And so I do believe you do have a right to be a little upset if there are purposeful actions that are affecting your breathing, such as that, without warning and without you being able to find safer air. So, for example, if you felt like you were going to have gas and you're about to go on an elevator, I might tell everybody, I'm kind of bloated. I don't know what's going to happen on the ride up or the ride down, or if we get stuck. Give them the option of not going into the elevator. I think that's fine. I know people don't want to embarrass themselves, but if it's you and somebody else, they're going to know it's you. So I think we can already break down the barriers of anonymity with that one. But we look at our environment, whether somebody smokes, passes gas, spews COVID, as there's a responsibility on the person spewing. And, there is. I mean, if I'm sick, I'm not going to be around others coughing and sneezing. I think it is my duty to make sure that I don't affect others. The average person, though, doesn't care. Now, the average person might not know they're sick. You're contagious usually 2 days before you start feeling symptoms. So if you come down with a virus or you're cold, you may be breathing it on other people before you start to feel symptoms. This is why colds go through families so quickly. COVID would do the same. Parents would say, but I isolated. How did they get sick? I go, you isolated once you had symptoms. If you are contagious a few days before the symptoms, then you've already spread it. Well, the UN has now, their top court, has made a historic climate ruling saying healthy environment is a human right. And they say if countries fail to take appropriate action to protect the climate system, they could be in violation of international law, according to the UN's top court. Now, I'm glad they're talking about the climate, but have they addressed the hostages that Hamas took? Thank you for making these rulings, but there's people still being tortured and raped and murdered by Hamas. I'd like to see the UN put that to rest and get those hostages out. But in the meantime, they're looking busy. And the judges at the International Court of Justice delivered what, according to Euronews, is a, quote, long-awaited advisory opinion on nations' climate obligations and the consequences they face if they don't fulfill them. They say failure of the state to take appropriate action to protect the climate system from GHG or greenhouse gas emissions may constitute an internationally wrongful act, which is attributable to that state. They country could be entitled to reparations. They might have to owe money. There might have to be other sorts of consequences. And I know people are really excited about this, saying that climate change is an urgent and existential threat. But I also think taking hostages and murdering innocent people and beheading babies is also a threat. So I'd like to see the UN act on that, since it's been almost 2 years since the October 7th attack in Israel. It would be nice for them to jump on that, because that's also an urgent and existential threat. But as it pertains to quote unquote climate change and global warming, the issues I have is, I want to protect the environment. I want to protect our ozone layer. I want to protect our coral reefs, our natural habitats, animals, our Amazon rainforest. I think bipartisanly we all agree on that. What we don't agree on are the methods being advocated and urged. And are they resulting in protecting the environment, or are they hurting the environment more? I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I am of the mindset that these electric vehicles might actually have net zero environmental protections when you look at their weight, the lithium batteries, the carbon footprint of all the charging stations, and the tire debris. So mandating and forcing people to go to electric vehicles, I need to see the science that these electric vehicles are environmentally friendly. Fossil fuels is one argument, but how safe are these lithium batteries? If you ask Pacific Palisades homes in the fires earlier in the year, and those individuals who had these electric vehicles in their garages and the house couldn't be extinguished because the fires rage on if there's a lithium battery somehow now ignited, they might have another opinion as it pertains to protecting the environment. And if an electric vehicle fire is inextinguishable, how much oxygen is that fire using? What is that doing to our environment? Where do we dump used batteries? So what are if you're saying to not litter, if you're saying to use recyclable products, do those recyclable products have chemicals? Are those chemicals bad for the environment? We see people try to push these vegan burgers where there's a vegetable burger that tastes just like meat. But when you start to look at all the products and the preservatives, how is that healthier than ground beef? So if you want to help protect the environment, I get you. I worked for the EPA. I love the environment. But don't come up with these random rules that can actually still hurt the environment in their own way and say, well, this is what you have to do or you're going to get fined. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious, such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I have been on this earth long enough, thank God, by the will of God and grace, to have sadly been among murderers, really bad people, terrorists who came across my path. And sadly, when you are a physician and you're taking care of people, you're thinking all your patients are 100% ethical and good people and will never commit a crime. But I got a call from one of my patients who was in custody because she and her husband, this was years ago, were arrested for murdering somebody who I believe they were involved with in a menage a trois. And she wanted me to tell the cops that I had given her certain medications that she needs while she's in jail. And I don't give her those medications. I think she needed sleep aids or something, and I wasn't managing her for that. I think I saw her for like a couple colds or whatever. And she's like, I need you to write these medications so I can have them. I go, you're going to have to see the jail doctor. And I was kind of shocked that I had taken care of, not very long, only a couple visits, of patients that ended up being charged with murder. I don't know whatever happened to them, if they ever went to jail, but you do come across people in your life. I took care of a patient in September of 2001 who came into an urgent care I was working at, only to find out days later that that person ended up flying a plane into the World Trade Center. You know, you really get leveled when you realize that people that came across your path were very, very bad people. And I can't assume everybody is bad, strike them, right? Write medicines that'll kill them when you don't know who they are. And I can't assume somebody is a murderer, who just randomly comes in. And so you end up, throughout life, running into people, working with people, having clients, whatever. And then you later see them in the news going, really? Whoa. And you would think you would do a better job at picking that out, but you just, your job is to do the job at hand. I would love to be able to identify somebody who may commit a crime days, weeks, years later. And we try to do our best and report, if we pick up homicidal ideation or any sort of that behavior or red flags. But when somebody's coming in for a sore throat, if somebody's coming in for a bronchitis and they answer your questions fully, and you're like, is anything else going on? Anything else you want to talk about? No, all good. Thank you, doc. You're not going to really dive deep into their psyche. There's a lot of news and media publicity on Jeffrey Epstein being at events where Donald Trump was. Now, I think Jeffrey Epstein is a piece of crap. This earth, he should have left this earth way before he did, whether it was by his choice or not. And what he did to young women and his trafficking ring, absolutely, it's unfathomable that he could be classified as a human being. But he hobnobbed, and he was in circles with people such as the Clintons, such as the Trumps. And I guess one of the latest media articles and reports is that I believe it was Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples, and Ivana Trump was a young teenager at the time, and so people are just blown away that Jeffrey Epstein was allowed near the daughter back in 1993, when obviously Trump and other people didn't know what this guy was doing. I really do believe that Trump was not aware and was not a part of it. It's not a political thing. It's not a right-left thing. It's Donald Trump is very narcissistic, very pro-business. Now, and I think he is the type of business person to, if anybody was doing anything like that, he would want to keep his fortune as far away from that drama as possible. And I really do believe that many individuals, such as Harvey Weinstein, how many stars and people do you see cuddling Harvey Weinstein, the producer who coerced women into sleeping with them and was a disgusting piece of crap? How many people claim that Harvey Weinstein was their friend, invited him to weddings, and you know, it's unfortunately some of the most powerful people use that power to do bad things. And their association with, you know, big Hollywood producers or big kingpins or money people, you know, will be how they make their fame and get their power. And, you know, I don't know how many influential people have, what was, I mean, I'm sure there's many people, there's the Epstein list. But how do you know who was guilty and who wasn't? You know, I mean, you need to interview Giselle Maxwell, his girlfriend who appeared to orchestrate this ring for him, allegedly. You need to interview the victims. Now, some of the victims might not even know who attacked him, but some might. And, you know, it's going back to see what years of abuse and assault happened is a very daunting task, especially since now the key witness is dead. And so right now the media is focusing on Trump's relationship. And you see Jeffrey Epstein photobombing pictures that Trump is in. There is no doubt Jeffrey Epstein wanted to hobnob with the Clintons, Trump, anybody who had money. His power and his sickness involved him and his money access and his power access. Does that mean Trump is guilty? Should Trump have figured out that this guy was a piece of crap? Now, it's not a good look to be in pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, but unfortunately, most of the, I'm sure there were mayors, governors, I'm sure there were many individuals who Jeffrey Epstein worked with and met. And it's sad that here we are where somebody like that could escape such scrutiny. And that's why some of the, these individuals who become so powerful are able to do their crime for so long. And then with Harvey Weinstein, people didn't want to say anything. I don't want to bring up actresses who allegedly slept with him and then became very famous, but, somebody should have reported him. But they didn't, because they were fearful that they would then lose their career and lose their job. And sleeping with producers has sadly been a thing, not just with Harvey Weinstein, but with others. Even in radio, people approached me saying they would help my career if I came to their hotel room. I go, actually, I don't think it's going to help my career. In fact, I think you're going to be pretty disappointed. But it happens in medical school even. It's sick that there are individuals that will take advantage. And you would think we have a society today that protects women or protects vulnerable people or protects young men, from predators. And no, people are going to take advantage because they're animals at their core. But any past associations you have with these individuals, all you could do is denounce it. Now, be honest about what you knew and what you didn't know, and condemn the behavior and help society fight any future behavior of that. But we all are going to run into individuals or have some sort of, I guess, interactions with people who might later turn out to be complete pieces of crap. And it's a shame. Fortunately, the majority of people you meet are good, which is why I recommend go to church, right? Go to temple, be a part of your religion, right? Volunteer. The more, the less you party and the more, you're helping people, the better off you're going to be. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one of my listeners was asking about Medicare, and they heard that the telehealth, ability to use telehealth would be, shall we say, pivoting on if you had an in-person visit within 6 months or 12 months. And I think they were referring to something they were reading from Australia. Australia also has Medicare. They call it Medicare as well. And I believe in Australia, there has to be an in-person exam within 12 months to qualify for telehealth services, I believe. Whereas in America, no. I guess since the pandemic, they did not require you having an in-person exam where Medicare providers could have sole telehealth care. But as a doctor, I'm wondering, is that the right way to go? So one, be very careful of the articles you're reading, because if they're talking about Australian Medicare, that's different. And I know it's called Medicare, but yeah, so double check the sources of that. But with, America Medicare, yes, finally, I got to tell you, I was calling patients back. I would not get paid to do phone medicine. And I remember being at my office till 10 o'clock at night, calling patients back and helping patients, that I had to stop doing it. I had to go home. And patients were really, really upset that they couldn't call a doctor. And I was like, it'd be really nice to to come up with a system where I could save them from having to come in, but also get compensated for this, because most doctors do not call patients back because they're doing it for free. There's liability, and they need to spend time on their patients, their patients' paperwork, the ones coming in, not to mention go home and take a shower before the next day, especially if you're at your office till 10 at night. And so with COVID, luckily, there was some flexibility in terms of telemedicine, and doctors were starting to get paid for telehealth visits. And telehealth exploded because the average person did not want to leave their house. They didn't want to get exposed to COVID, and they loved the idea that they could be in their pajamas at home getting a visit. Well, I had a patient the other day that called up saying she was bleeding. She was well into menopause. She was bleeding, and she was on hormone replacement therapy. So I asked her, I go, have you contacted your gynecologist? Right? We want to make sure this isn't cancer, and I don't have a gynecologist. I'm like, who's been giving you your hormones? Oh, I've been getting them online through telehealth. And then I asked, I go, well, when was your last pap smear or pelvic exam? I don't know. It's been years. She said, should I worry? And I said, well, I don't want you to worry, but you need to get into a doctor right away. So prior to telemedicine, you would be getting those hormones from your in-person doctor. And that in-person doctor most likely would have done an ultrasound on you to check your lining, make sure your mammograms were up to date. And so even though I'm glad people can access telemedicine, especially if they're homebound, I am seeing a whole slew of new problems where the doctor that's managing this for you, you need to call them and get back in. And they're saying, but I'm not seeing a doctor. I've been managed remotely and virtually online. And so there's not a lot of places that will ultrasound your uterus. The reason why bleeding, if you're menopausal, is concerning is because that could be a sign of extra growth in the uterus, endometrial lining. It could be endometrial hyperplasia or endometrial cancer. Now, it could just be a one-off where, your hormones are causing you to still bleed, but postmenopausal bleeding, we always have to rule out cancer. It's not very difficult because the doctor managing you either has already ultrasounded you or can set you up for an ultrasound. But people don't have that quarterback. They don't have that doctor. There was another patient that called up saying she had a keloid and the keloid is inflamed and she needs more antibiotics. And I take a look and it looks like she's got cancer that is keloided. Keloiding is a type of scar tissue where rather than a simple cut with a simple small scar, you end up having like a balloon of tissue. Yet this had, what's the word for it, where it's kind of puckered? Yeah, there was like a puckering and indentations and a lot of irregularity. And I said, who's been managing this? Well, online. I call up and you guys give me antibiotics every time it's inflamed. And I look at all the pictures, and this mass has been growing for years. I'm like, you got to get this biopsied. I don't have a doctor. And the urgent cares are getting overwhelmed because you can't go into an urgent care and say, I need my uterus ultrasounded for endometrial cancer. Most urgent cares can't do that. Most urgent cares won't biopsy. Most urgent cares can't manage a lot of these things because they're not supposed to. You're supposed to have a regular doctor. So with telemedicine, it's fantastic that if you can't reach your doctor, you have access. But patients are using telemedicine instead of having a regular doctor or medical provider. And we're in trouble. I'm seeing women with breast masses. They're calling up a telemedicine company. And I said, when was your last mammogram? And have you contacted your gynecologist or your doctor that does your yearly exams? I haven't seen a doctor since COVID. And I haven't had a mammogram since COVID. Well, if that's their answer, I want to reassure you But if you haven't been screened in over 5 years, I'm concerned about this mass. And sadly, we have so many people in that boat. And I'm not blaming individuals because they can't get in with a doctor. If you don't have a doctor now, and even if you do have one and you call and go, I haven't seen you, I'm due for a physical, when can I see you? You're going to probably get a date for 2026. And so now ERs are taking on a lot of what your regular doctor should be able to order because you don't have a regular doctor. And so even though telemedicine has helped take care of a lot of smaller issues, we've picked up so many things that we're like, if you need an ultrasound, you'll have to go to an ER. Because to establish a doctor could take months. So homebound patients are a concern in multiple states or multiple countries. What do you do with homebound? Can they have strictly telemedicine visits? And in Australia, no, because they still have to have an in-person, for obvious reasons, to examine them. In America, if you are homebound with your medical condition, there are ways where you could still just get telemedicine. But who's examining you? And we don't have enough doctors that'll go to your home. I think the future of medicine is going to be home-centered healthcare, where the, old visits to the house are going to hopefully come back. Now, I don't know how we're going to do that with safety, because coming into a person's home who could assault and rape you, not very attractive for people who are already second-guessing if they want to go into medicine or not. But because we don't have enough hospital beds, because we don't have enough nurses, people are going to be turning their homes into a hospital, their own hospital bed, where we could set up the IV near your bedside, set up your equipment, set up your exams, come to the house, and this will open up space in the hospitals and allow you to be taken care of by family members or a nurse that comes in. That's where medicine is going to go. This way, you're at home. You're not going to get other people's illnesses. You're not going to give other people illnesses. Now, this is only for the milder issues. If you need to be on telemetry or CIMC or in the ICU, no, you're going to have to go to the hospital. But with telemedicine, we're going to be using it more and more. But there's a lot of people with some major pathology that do not see doctors because they've used telemedicine for so long. Get yourself an in-person provider. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I think it's been a few months since we were told an asteroid is coming near the Earth. Well, we're being told another one is going to be screeching pretty close. By close, about 400,000 miles away. I'm fine. I'm not worried. But they say an asteroid the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa has been spotted. It is going to come very close. And they say this is one of the latest near misses that astronomers have tracked. The asteroid is called 2025 OW. Is going to pass in 5 days within 393,000 miles of Earth. According to JPL, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, it's actually one of 5 asteroids making a close pass-by over the next week. There's going to be 2 others, both between 100 and 200 feet long, that are projected to miss Earth by more than 1 million miles on Thursday. There's another small asteroid that is expected to pass our planet on Saturday. Good. See ya. Please don't stop by. However, the 2025 OW was the largest in this group, and that's why it made all the media headlines. And it is going to it's going to be closer than some of the other asteroids. It's about 210 feet long, making it comparable to a 15-story building or a large airplane. Now, it will be, I believe, past the moon, so I don't think it's going to hurt the moon. The moon orbits Earth 239,000 miles away. So there's still a pretty good clearance of about 150,000 miles. But NASA does reassure us that this should pose no risk at this time. They say they note asteroids of this size could cause minor structural damage or shatter windows if it was going to enter the atmosphere over a populated area. I watch Armageddon probably every 6 months when it's playing on the tube. And I do get nervous that a big one could come our way. And if Bruce Willis can't save the day, what do we do? But it happens. It's traveling at about 47,000 miles per hour, which is the average speed for a near-Earth asteroid. In comparison, the 500-foot-long asteroid 2024 MK was only at 34,000 miles per hour, but that came closer, 184,000 miles near Earth. A very large one, 11,000 feet, is supposed to be coming in 2029. Now, get this. According to Daily Mail, it's called the 99942 Apophis, and it's traveling 67,000 miles per hour, is 11,000 feet, and it is expected to come within 20,000 miles of Earth. When? This is supposed to be April 13th, 2029. So we have a few years. It's at 200, well, now they're saying it's 210 feet in length, but they just said it was 1,100. I don't know, feet. Either way, we won't be able to see it, but NASA sounds like they are on top of it. Thank you, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. We need you. You're doing a good job. Keep that up. Keep funding them. We want to make sure that they do whatever they have to either warn us or knock these things off orbit if they can. Now, a recent study said that Venus, the beautiful planet Venus, is blocking out our view of many near-Earth asteroids. And that there could be a devastating one coming our way because Venus's butt is in the way. Researchers from Brazil, France, and Italy found that several asteroids in sync with Venus's orbit are hard to spot because they're hidden by the sun's glare. And they say 3 of them had orbits or have orbits that take these asteroids dangerously close to Earth. They measure between 330 feet and 1,300 feet, one of which could level an entire city, set off massive fires and tsunamis. So somebody's got to tell Venus to move. Let's knock Venus off its course. We have other things to worry about on Earth, like sharks. We're being told that the biggest ever shark tagged in the Atlantic has been swimming dangerously close to Nantucket, right? The Nantucket there once was a guy from Nantucket. There is a 14-foot, 1,653, I think it's a great white shark, nicknamed Contender. Research vessels found it. They detected him off the coast of Nantucket, Massachusetts. Could be a she. 30 miles from Cape Cod and 100 miles south of Boston. Marine researchers, according to Daily Mail from the nonprofit group OSearch, except with a C, monitor sharks around the globe, say they don't male. Oh, it is a male. It's about 32 years old, still going strong, well within the great white lifespan of 30 to 40 years. So we can't just wait for him to die of old age. He was first tagged in January near the Florida-Georgia border, has since made a 1,000-mile journey up the East Coast. Maybe he wants cooler water. Has been pinged more than 40 times along the way. Now, they say Contender's tracker pings whenever his dorsal fin breaks the surface, while an Argo satellite is overhead and allows researchers a glimpse into the migration habits of these top-tier predators. They say great whites will often head north in spring and summer, following prey in cooler waters. And so the latest sighting was all the way up near Nantucket. Now, even though that's not too unusual, that's still pretty far north. They say Contender is still smaller than Jaws. You know, most of our knowledge as it pertains to sharks comes from the 50-year-old movie Jaws. And it's still smaller than that. But, yeah. So, Contender is a big one. Hopefully, it won't attack any of us. Make sure you never swim alone. Use the buddy system. I know everybody jokes, in order to survive a shark attack, you have to swim faster than your buddy. But honestly, sharks don't like going up to a bunch of people. So you're more at risk if you're alone. Avoid areas where there's poor water visibility, like river mouths or periods of heavy rainfall. Don't wear shiny objects, according to shark stewards. No earrings, watches, necklaces. The metal jewelry looks like, these fish with scales that attract them. So curious sharks might think you're a fish. Don't splash or make erratic motions. Avoid dawn and dusk when large sharks, like tiger sharks, are active. I understand that's the best surf, but be aware that many more attacks can happen then. Avoid seals, sea turtles, and large school of fish, because that's where sharks like to eat. Do not enter the water where active fishing is occurring, because there's a lot of bait that could be attracting the fish or the sharks. Use highly contrasting swimwear. They say bright bands or contrasting colors could draw their attention. So wetsuits may need to blend with the background, although that's tricky if you're drowning because you want people to be able to see you. Swim close to shore. Many sharks like the reefs or drop-offs of cliffs. Be closer to shore. And again, if you see a shark, keep your eyes on the shark. Back away slowly. Don't be starting to splash or panic. Maintain eye contact. If you have to hit it, you got to smack it in the eyes, smack it in the nose, have a knife on you or a spear. The nose is most sensitive. Try to hit the gills because the shark wants to breathe. And then get some help. When a shark attack does happen, gratefully we have people drag you to shore if they're there. They're going to have to put a tourniquet on, stop the bleeding, call 911. Oftentimes you don't notice you're bit. It feels like something brushed up against your leg. And then you start to bleed more. The shark could come back. Sharks usually don't like us because we're too scrawny. They usually want more meaty animals like a seal. But if they don't like you or they feel threatened by you, they can attack. So just be aware. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.